Hello and welcome to my channel, guys. My name is Dennis for Multi-Louis Photography, and this is a creator's journey. Today I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some of the different type of scenarios with photos when it comes to lighting and outdoors, indoors type of things. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. This is going to be the actual conclusion of my review on the R6. Maybe in the future, I don't know. I'm not really good at teaching, settings on the video and all that stuff. I can teach people in person, but I will try maybe do a settings and all that stuff for the camera, the way that I use the camera. So with that being said, this is a project that I've had for the last couple of weeks. I've been shooting with this camera. I did a dark concert shoot. That was pretty interesting. And I took some outdoor photos, take some street photography and things like that. So we have different scenarios and different tests for the camera. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. I think you'd be surprised that this camera, I believe, is probably one of the best cameras that are out there. As photographers, we're all going to have a different type of style. And one of them, it would be maybe you like your pictures to be really bright, or you like your pictures to be really dark. I like my pictures to be in the middle. So I try to shoot for a little bit of bright, highlights to a little bit of dark shadows. But most of the time, I'm always shooting to kind of balance in between, if that makes sense. So to some people, that might be the wrong way of doing it. But to me, that's the way I'm doing it. I'm shooting and learning how to use the camera the way the camera is set up. So, my pictures may not be perfect for people. So far, all my clients have loved my photos. Some of them are very kind. I don't love all my photos. Like the band, they were all very kind, told me how amazing I was, and they love these photos. They gave me permission to share the photos, so I'm actually going to share those photos with you guys. Let's just go ahead and jump into it before my R6 overheats from recording 4K. Yes, there is some negatives to it. I know. All right, let's go ahead and start off with the first picture here. Now, this photo was taken at 4,000 ISO and 2.8. I could have gone 1.8. I just wanted to get more stuff in focus. But now that I look at all the footage and, all the photographs, I think 1.8 would have been perfect for most of it. I should have just kept that shooting with that lens. I wanted to get like a wider angle look on the photos. This particular one, I zoomed in to 70 because I was using my 24-70 lens, trying to get more cropped on the singer, because I would, when you're shooting a concert, right? You think you want to shoot the whole scenario, right? The whole stage. But sometimes you need to get those close-up of just individuals, and I just was not able to do it with my camera. But nonetheless, this is 4,000 ISO. I think it was great. This one is at 5,000 ISO. This is the drummer at 5,000 ISO as well, 2.8. I love the way he opened his eyes, because then I can actually capture that. Looks great. This one's 5,000 ISO as well. This photo was 6,400 ISO. That's pretty high up there. 6,400 ISO. 6,400 ISO. This is Lindsay, one of their models, dancers. 6,400 ISO. And I made this one black and white because the background was very, very bright, and she was really dark. So as bringing her out as much as I could. You can see at 100%, you should be able to see that there's like a little bit of noise in there. Picture is not as sharp, but that's at 100%. We'll never be able to put our eyes that close. This is about as good as our eyes can see the photos, and it looks amazing. I love it. This is Shannon. Oh man, she was moving so fast on this scene. I'm surprised that I got her almost in perfect focus, almost sharp, but nonetheless, she looks gorgeous. And they were just having a good time on that stage. That's the lead singer. Did a great job as well. The bass player, Sean. Man, it was his birthday, so I was excited to go in there and take photos for him. And this one right here, I overexposed him a little bit right here, the lead singer. because these guys were not getting enough light. So, you know, again, with the lights, you know, in the stage, they were really horrible for photographing. There was like maybe a few split-second moments when the whole stage was kind of lit up very good, but that didn't happen all the time. So let's go from here and jump into the forest walk here. This is a gold bar, the river that go and photograph the bridge where the train goes through. And this one, guys, I shot this one at f8, 160th of a second. I believe I used my tripod for this one. Maybe I didn't. You know, 160th, I'm probably hand holding that. And what I did is I exposed for the back. This was very, very bright, even with your own regular eyes. This part right here was very bright on the light side, and this part where the rock is was actually pretty dark. So I was able to bring up 2 stops of light on the shadows right here in the bottom left, and I was able to bring down the highlights, maybe like a 1 or 2 stops before the picture started to lose the sunlight on it. There comes to a point where you're editing photos that you don't want to push too much. You know, you still want the photo to look realistic. So I was trying to go for that. This flower right here, obviously I'm using the 50 millimeter, and I shot this one at 1/1000th of a second because that sun was just very overpowering it, and I was able to get enough of that rim light inside of it. I thought that was pretty curious. Now, if you walk by, you probably wouldn't notice that, right? But I was like, you know, I'm going to stop looking at the big picture for these photos, and I'm going to look at the small picture. And I was able to look at this flower. I'm like, hey, there's a little bit of light inside. Let me take that photo. And I think it came out great. Now I took a photo of a couple of mossy tree branches over here. I think it looks good. Good lighting. Again, guys, I'm underexposing this photo so that the sun that is very harsh on right now doesn't destroy my photos. And this is like around noon, guys, so that the sun was very, very strong. And you look at this photo right here, and you think, oh, man, I can take that photo with my iPhone or any other phone you have. But I'm going to tell you, it was so bright on these leaves right here, there's no way you can get shadows out of that. This was really black. So when I exposed for it, I am actually surprised that it came out this good. What the heck is that? I don't know, something landed on it. So this is at 100%. Oh my gosh, this should be looking really bad right now, but it's not. That's pretty awesome. Another mossy branch here. I'm actually shooting this one at f8, which should give me a lot of focus from the front all the way to the back, but I'm very close to this branch, so the back is still going to have that nice bokeh in the back. These guys right here, these trees were all almost black. You can barely see them. So I exposed for the highlights. So you see how I was a little bit overexposed over there in the back with the rocks. I exposed for that, and even then, even though it's a little bit of overexposed, these trees were just black when I brought the light down on the camera. So I am actually very impressed. This is about 2.5 stops of light that the camera brought out, and I mean, look at that. I'm trying to find some bad stuff on it, but it's pretty good. I mean, for the way that I focus, that's a great photo. Not an award winning, I get it. You know, you don't have to tell me that. But check that out. This is very nice. And I can zoom in and not lose texture. It's all there. All of this right here on the side, besides where you see the light, was all very, very dark. I was able to bring that out of the camera in post, so that was very nice. Same thing with this tree, was black. I could barely see it. Same with these branches, I couldn't see at all. Like, you see how dark they are? They were even darker before I pulled the shadows out. What the, who is this? Man, some dude just got in my camera. Sorry about that, guys. All right, going to my last 2 photos here of this nature walk that I was doing with my wife. This photo was actually a panorama photo. Now, I didn't have to take a panorama photo. I just did it to test it, especially with the harsh light on it. I will never take this photo like this. But I wanted to test the panel shot on this, and I took 4 panel shots with a 50 millimeter. I believe it was a f16. which is kind of crazy because f16 seems to not give me the right focus on the photos. I think f8 sometimes give me the sharpest photos on that lens. So I'm going to keep that in mind next time I'm doing panels. But nonetheless, I took this up, and you know, normally when I take this photo with a 24 millimeter or so, the picture kind of looks, you know, curved in, you know, or distorted from the sides. This one looks nice and flat. And a better example of that is this one. Now, I'm going to point out a couple of mistakes that I see on this photo and the reason why you don't want to do panels when things are moving. One of them is this spot right here. Right in here, it didn't stitch correctly, and then also the leaves right here were moving a lot with the wind, so they look blurry. Okay, those are the two mistakes that I see on the photo, and there's nothing that I can do about it. There's nothing the camera can do about it. I mean, it is what it is. Oh, there seems to be another connection right there. That's not straight. Okay, but my point on this panel is normally these trees look like they're in a circle, kind of, you know, when you take this photo. But with the 50 millimeter, it just looks like a nice flat panel, and it just, everything is really nice and straight. I love that. You know, sharpness on the bridge is perfect. Now we're at 100%, guys, so this is like a lot. I should be zooming in at like maybe at 50%. These pictures will actually, those trees will look a lot nicer than that. But nonetheless, I think it's great. And, you know, the sharpness on this rock right here, really awesome as well. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Then we decided to go ahead and go take a walk to downtown Seattle. Now guys, these are not the best photos. These are just like snapshots at street photography, okay? So don't judge me too hard on these. I saw this, and you can see the street kind of go up. Now I'm using a 50 millimeter on here. I'm not using a wide angle lens, so there's only so much that I can do to capture everything on the street. But I like how everything, like in the buildings right here, they look semi-straight, and you can see the road going up, but then there's a flat road right in the middle, right where people are walking. I thought that was pretty interesting. And then this is a this is a photo that my buddy Frank took of me. Oh man, that's some scary photo. Man, looks great. I think and he took this with the R6. He just grabbed my camera, 50 millimeter, 1.8, and look at that. This is like very minimum adjustments, guys, because my camera, I always have it set to shoot in RAW. So that's what we were shooting at, and I think the picture came out great. I'm not the best looking guy, that's why I'm not a model, but I think the camera did fantastic. So, and you know, if you play with photos, you know, you're gonna be able to change some stuff. That's my buddy Frank. He's the one that's given me the first tips about photography about 5 years ago, when I was kind of struggling with it. And you know, so he's kind of, I guess he's been kind of a mentor to me from the beginning. So yesterday we went street walking in Seattle. I think it was yesterday, the day before. Now I can't remember what they were at. And so we were just taking photos, just random photos, just pretty much snapshots, at least from my point of view. That's what I was doing. Yeah, so here's some of the cityscapes photos that I took. This is all handheld. This is a 1/8,000th of a second. Can you believe that? Okay, next photo I'm going to show you guys. This is a panel. Now, I know what you're thinking. A panel? What the heck, man? That sucks, right? But it's not just like a panel with a tripod. I did this handheld. So the whole Seattle, you know, aquarium word is actually in the panel. It's just too wide for my screen right now. I took that, I just kind of went from left to right, you know, snapping photos, and then I was able to put that back in. Now, the sun was so hard on all these structures, I'm surprised that I was able to see this Wings Over Washington part. Now, mind you, there is a way that you can get everything nice and focused and, you know, great lighting when it comes to using like your phone and stuff, but the picture is not as good quality for printing. So I really like to use the professional camera for this. And again, I'm shooting at f/18 thinking that this is going to give me better focus, but it did the opposite. So I think I'm going to stick with f/8, f/9 in the future, see what happens with that. Then we were walking down and we saw these tulips. You know, I took a couple of photos on them. I think they look great. Not a big, you know, award-winning shot, but really pretty, right? Just walk around, take photos, enjoying nature. And then my buddy Frank took a picture kind of like this, and he asked me to go ahead and take the same photo. Didn't really like my photo, even though I showed him my photo saying that it was his, and he liked it. So I think my photo was okay. There's this little lamp on the side of the wall. I thought it was pretty interesting, kind of, you know, putting this camera sideways a little bit, kind of confusing your eyes on what you're looking at. So that was pretty cool, I think. And then I took a picture of the camera that my buddy has. He has the R5. Lucky dude, he's able to spend that money on it. I didn't have the money to spend on it, so I didn't get it. But here is two shots that I really wanted to show you guys in low light. This is using my buddy's 50 millimeter at 1.2 ISO 400. Now I took this handheld at 1/40th of a second. Wow. Wow. This is the L series lens from Canon. 50 millimeter 1.2. Oh my gosh. Let's see if the 50 millimeter 1.8 cheap lens actually does any challenge to this photo. Look at that. Now at 2.8, I'm sorry, this is at 2.8. This is the 24-70 Tamron. Look at the difference on this picture. 2.8, I'm shooting at 100th of a second, 6400 ISO. You can definitely see some of the noise introduction on there when you're at 100% zoomed in, but when you're looking at the regular view, that looks freaking awesome. 6400 ISO. And I'm sorry guys, I thought I copied the 50 millimeter 1.8. Maybe I didn't use it for this photo, but you know, nonetheless, these are two of the photos that I really wanted to show you guys. Look at the beautiful red on there. As beautiful as this picture is, though, it is very dimmed in there, very, very, very dark. And I just find this to be really, really awesome. So, all right, so that's some of the pictures that I have in here, guys. I wanted to show you that there is different scenarios, different lighting, and it's going to depend a lot on the photographer on how well this camera performs. But whenever I use this camera well, it performs very well. I will go ahead and show you a photo of a model that I took earlier. Very simple photo, not dramatic. We agreed that we wanted the photo to look as natural as possible. So I will show you that in a little bit. But right now, let's go ahead and jump at the beginning of the video for the test on the audio for the wireless Comica. Oh my gosh. I'm not gonna spoil it. Let's just go ahead and I want to show you a couple of clips of it and then I'll talk through it. Hey guys, it's gonna be the vlog for today. I'm actually walking with my older brother.
Not old.
Not old.
Oh,
And he wants to go and fly his drone today, so he took me to this kind of like a valley area here in Arlington. So we're gonna fly the drones, and I'm also gonna do a review on the Canon R6 camera. All right guys, so we're gonna start off right here in this spot over here that my brother brought me to, the Arlington. There's a little trailway here. What was the trail called? Centennial Trail is called, and nice and flat, very nice and paved. You get to see a little bit of the valley right there. It's nice. And then on the other side, you have this side of the forest over here. But this is the R6. If you are a beginner, just go to the basics really quick. This is a button that you push down to take the lens out. I actually have an adapter for my Tamron lens to work with the R6. I do have a 50 millimeter that I have, RF, that I don't need an adapter for. But, you know, if you need to use third-party lenses, you need an adapter. All right. One of the things that I like about this camera is I like the dials that I have on here, because I like to do things manually without having to look at electronic things. So over here you have the dial that will change the shutter speed. And then you have this dial right here This one will change your ISO, and then this one right here will change your aperture. So aperture meaning, you know, when you see a lens that says f1.8, 2, 3, 5, 6, etc., those are aperture settings. So I like to be able to have a wheel for each one of them. And so I like the manual feel of the camera. Number one, my hands are actually a little bit big, and this fits perfect. Like, I have plenty of room to move my hands and my fingers to different spots that I need to. Right now I have another tripod, which is the best way to use a camera for landscape photography. And so you have your play button and recycle. So whenever you take a photo, you can always hit play, and then with this one you will cycle to choose. And my brother didn't even give me a warning that he was going to turn on his drone. And that is some of the basic things that you need to learn to be able to take a photograph. I would suggest that you grab your camera and play with those three little settings. You want to play with your shutter speed, with your focal length, and then with your ISO. And then see how the picture comes out when you're processing. So a lot of the times, like if you're going to take photos, most likely you'll probably start off in your house, in your room, and then you're going to plug it into your laptop or desktop and take a look at those photos and see what settings you're satisfied with the results that the camera is giving you, and then just go from there, you know, and get out in nature, go practice, take photos of flowers, leaves, insects, whatever it is that you want to get into. But you have to get out and practice. Find out what are the limits to whatever camera you have. This one in specific is R6. I can tell you is great in low light, and that's awesome. The disadvantage that I don't really like on this camera, which is not a big deal to me, is that it's only a 20 megapixel camera. And what it means is that when I am taking photos, there is not much room for me to crop there because I'm taking pixels away. So when I take a photo, it needs to be that photo. So if I'm doing wedding photography, I am going to be shooting exactly how I want the photo to look. I am not going to be shooting wide and then cropped really close. No, I'm going to have my different lenses for that, because that is the reason why they make wide angle lenses and telephoto lenses. That's the reason why they make prime lenses, so that you can take the photo exactly how you want that photo to be framed, and you don't have to crop anything. Now, if you have to crop because you made a mistake or something doesn't look right to you, there's no choice, you gotta crop it. But that is the reason why you use different lens for different settings. Okay, so back to the buttons on the camera. This button right here will allow me to go up and down, left and right. I love using all these manual functions. I don't want it to go away from the camera. I love that. Here's my menu button, and then you can rate photos, which I never do on camera. It's always hard to do. And then you'll notice there's this little wheel right here. That is to adjust your eyesight. So everybody has a little slight you know, eyesight than other people. So what you do is you want to focus on a subject, and then once the camera says that it's focused, you want to turn off the autofocus off, and then look through the viewfinder here and adjust this little wheel until you can see the best possible picture that you can. Now on my lens, I have the autofocus and the manual focus button, and I have vibration control on and off. Right now everything is off because I have it on a tripod and I haven't focused to anything yet. But then also in camera, there is a menu. So you hit the menu button, and then you can see out here some of the settings. I don't know if you can see that in there, but you go through the menu and there is an option. Let me find it for you here. I'm not really sure if you can see, but it's under the camera option, number 7, and then it says image stabilizer mode, and then you can turn that off. Okay, so if you're not shooting on a tripod, you definitely want to have that on. If you're hand holding, I will give you some examples of what it does for video, handheld, no gimbal, nothing, just with my shaky hands. So that is that. And so depending on how you like to take photos, I like to look to the viewfinder most of the time, but a lot of times you can use this screen right here so that you can actually see the actual picture that you're looking at. Let me go ahead and brighten that up for you guys there. It'd be good if I take the lens cap off. All right, and here are some takes of the video part. Very stable. I'm just kind of walking around, and it's actually uneven ground, gravel. But I think it does a good enough job for stability wise and quality at 50 millimeters. I think it was great. Okay, so before you take a photo on these cameras, I'm going to give you the very basics, okay? This button right here, remember I said there's the shutter speed? That's how fast and how slow a photo is taken. And then you can see how it changes right here. Hopefully you can see, right? And then you see the lightness, right? It goes dark to bright. Hopefully you can see that. I should have brought my other camera. I apologize, guys. I should have brought my M50, you know, take off the glare and all that stuff. But anyway, so that's what it does. This is for the shutter speed, and then this will be ISO. So this will bring, you know, the lighting on your camera, but this is what it's doing, is just bringing some like a little bit of electricity to make the picture brighter, okay? And the more you use it, the worse the picture is going to come out once you actually process the photo. So you want to keep this to a minimum. Now I found that I can take this camera up to at 6400 ISO in low light, and it's phenomenal. It doesn't cause me any problems. Obviously right now the lighting out here is very strong, so I don't need that. But let's say, for example, I had to shoot something like at 160 frames per second, right? And then it's too dark because I am shooting at f22, which is the most open the lens can go. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be the sharpest, even though it's giving you a wide open lens. Is supposed to focus all the way from the back all the way to the front. Every single lens has a different focal length that has the most sharpness on. So 22 is actually going to be probably beyond that point, and some stuff will be soft. So depending on what you're going for, I like to try to get my f settings to be as sharp as possible. So normally on my 24, f9, maybe f11, but f9 most of the time is what I use. And so that's something to keep in mind. Now with that being said, now we're at 160th of a second, f22. We're exaggerating this because I want to show you what the ISO does. So we're going to go 1200, 2000. At 2500 it looks like it's good. Let me go to 6400 and then go shoot faster, which means that the lens is going to open and close really fast. The faster it goes, the less light comes into the camera, and so that's why the picture goes up and down like that. So let's say, for example, if you look at this picture, right, it kind of looks very underexposed, and you can see all the dark shadows on here. But over here on the right, you can see that the brightest is not touching that wall. As long as I have that not touching the wall, I can bring this light right here when I'm doing my process photos. I can bring it down, and you can see a little bit more detail. Right now it's very casted on the top, so there's not much color, but there is a couple of dark clouds. You should be able to bring those up in post. And then when you raise the clarity or the lightness, like the shadows, if you bring the shadows up, then all of this will be this bright, and it's going to look really good. So rule of thumb, when you're taking pictures, you want to underexpose just enough so that the brightness doesn't touch the right side of it. So hopefully this little basic information has been good to you. If you like this, leave a comment. Let me know what else you want to know about this camera, and I'll let you know. On my next review, I'm going to go ahead and talk about a focusing issue that I've encountered and what has been the fix. All right, let me just jump in here and show you the photo of the model that I shot this last weekend. Her name is Frankie Valentine, and she was so kind to go ahead and pose for me. I do want to apologize for the quality of the photos on here. The software that I use kind of takes the quality away. So on the next review, it's not going to be an actual review. I'm just going to talk about some of the focusing issues that I had on the R6, but I have not encountered that issue since. So let me close up right here. If you're watching, thank you so much. Till next time, be blessed.